I bet you didn't know that Lev Trotsky, born Lev Davidovich Bronstein in 1879, entered a world on the brink of change. Born in Ukraine, young Lev grew up amidst the vast plains and burgeoning industrial centers of the Russian Empire. His family, Jewish farmers by trade, instilled in him a strong work ethic and a thirst for knowledge.
This thirst led him to Odessa, a bustling port city alive with revolutionary fervor.
It was here, amidst the intellectual ferment of student circles, that I encountered Marxist thought. The writings of Marx and Engels resonated deeply with me.
He saw in their analysis a blueprint for understanding the vast inequalities of Tsarist Russia. Trotsky, with his sharp mind and even sharper pen, quickly emerged as a leading voice of this movement.
I wrote with passion and conviction, my words igniting the hopes of workers and intellectuals alike.
Trotsky's early forays into revolutionary activity brought him face to face with the harsh realities of Tsarist repression. Arrests, imprisonment, and exile became recurring themes in his life. Yet these experiences, far from breaking his spirit, only deepened his resolve. I bet you didn't know the year 1905 marked a turning point in Russian history. A disastrous war with Japan, coupled with mounting economic grievances, ignited a wave of popular unrest that shook the Tsarist regime to its core. Workers went on strike, peasants revolted against their landlords, and students took to the streets demanding change.
In the midst of this revolutionary upheaval, I returned from exile, eager to play my part.
Trotsky, ever the man of action, threw himself into the maelstrom. He became a leading figure in the St. Petersburg Soviet, a council of workers that emerged as a center of revolutionary power.
With my fiery oratory and keen political instincts, I galvanized the workers, urging them to fight for their rights.
The 1905 revolution, though ultimately crushed by Tsarist forces, was a crucial learning experience for Trotsky. It confirmed his belief in the power of mass action and the importance of working-class organization. Trotsky emerged from the crucible of 1905 with his reputation enhanced, his ideas tested, and his resolve strengthened. The Tsar's regime, though shaken, managed to cling to power. Yet the seeds of revolution had been sown. Why are there not more people talking about Trotsky's exile? Exile, for Trotsky, was not a passive experience. He roamed across Europe, writing prolifically and engaging in fierce debates with other revolutionaries.
My writings from this period, filled with sharp analysis and biting polemic, cemented my reputation as one of the leading Marxist theorists of my time.
The outbreak of World War I in 1914 found Trotsky in Vienna. He witnessed firsthand the descent of Europe into a maelstrom of nationalist fervor and bloodshed. Trotsky's opposition to the war forced him to move constantly, evading the authorities and seeking refuge in different countries. Despite the constant upheaval, Trotsky never lost sight of his goal: the overthrow of capitalism and the establishment of a socialist society. When news reached him of the February Revolution in 1917, which toppled the Tsarist regime, Trotsky knew his time had come. He immediately set about trying to return to Russia, determined to play his part in the unfolding revolution. He knew that the war, with its devastating toll on the Russian people, was creating the conditions for a new revolution. I bet you didn't know the February Revolution of 1917 brought down the Romanov dynasty, but it did not bring peace or stability to Russia. The provisional government, composed of liberals and moderate socialists, proved unable to address the fundamental problems.
Into this power vacuum stepped the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin and Trotsky, promising a radical break from the past.
In October 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Trotsky, launched an armed insurrection that changed history. The October Revolution brought the Bolsheviks to power, ushering in the first communist state. Everybody is looking for the secret behind the Red Army's success. The triumph of the Bolsheviks did not bring an end to the violence. Russia was soon engulfed in a brutal civil war, as anti-Bolshevik forces, backed by foreign powers, attempted to crush the nascent Soviet state.
Faced with the daunting task of building a new army from the ground up, I rose to the challenge with characteristic energy and determination.
Trotsky traveled tirelessly to the front lines, rallying the troops with his fiery speeches and imposing discipline on a ragtag force. Under his leadership, the Red Army grew in size and strength, eventually overcoming the White forces and securing victory for the Bolsheviks. His role in the Civil War cemented his reputation as a revolutionary leader of the first rank. he had not only secured the survival of the Bolshevik regime, he had also demonstrated his ability to lead and inspire men in battle.
However, the Civil War also exposed the ruthlessness in my character. I demanded absolute loyalty from my troops and was not afraid to use brutal methods to ensure discipline.
This willingness to use force, while understandable in the context of a brutal civil war, would later be used against him by his enemies. This is going to blow your mind. With the Civil War won, the Bolsheviks faced the daunting task of rebuilding a shattered nation. Yet, a new struggle for power was brewing within the party itself.
Lenin's failing health created a power vacuum, and I found myself at odds with a rising faction led by Joseph Stalin.
Stalin, a master of bureaucratic intrigue, began placing his allies in key positions, tightening his grip on the party. The ideological differences between Trotsky and Stalin ran deep. This ideological battle masked a fundamental power struggle, a clash of personalities and ambitions. By Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin had maneuvered himself into a position of strength. Why are there not more people talking about Trotsky's exile and the formation of the Fourth International? The years following Lenin's death were a time of growing isolation and despair for Trotsky. Stalin, having consolidated his power base, moved ruthlessly to eliminate his rivals.
I was denounced as a traitor, expelled from the party, and forced into exile in 1929.
In exile, Trotsky became a voice without a country, a revolutionary without a party. In 1938, he founded the Fourth International, dedicated to the overthrow of capitalism. The Fourth International became a focal point for anti-Stalinist revolutionaries. I don't think people understand the immense courage it took for Trotsky to keep writing despite the constant threat to his life. Trotsky continued to write with incredible energy and passion.
I penned my autobiography, My Life, a powerful and moving account of my revolutionary journey. I also wrote a scathing critique of Stalinism, the revolution betrayed, in which I analyzed the degeneration of the Soviet Union under Stalin's rule.
Trotsky's writings from exile, though often ignored or dismissed by the mainstream press, had a profound impact on left-wing intellectuals and activists around the world. They offered a searing indictment of Stalinism, exposing its brutality, its repression, and its betrayal of the principles of socialism.
Beyond my critiques of Stalinism, I continued to develop my own theoretical contributions to Marxism.
Trotsky's writings were not merely academic exercises. They were calls to action, rallying cries for a new generation of revolutionaries. He believed that the fight against Stalinism was inseparable from the fight against capitalism. He argued that only a socialist revolution, led by the working class, could create a truly just and equitable society. His words, infused with a sense of urgency and hope, inspired countless individuals to take up the struggle for social justice. I bet you didn't know the extent of the danger Trotsky faced, even in the relative safety of Mexico. Stalin, obsessed with eliminating his old rival, had unleashed a wave of terror against Trotskyists and perceived enemies of the state.
My home in Coyoacan, a suburb of Mexico City, was transformed into a fortress, guarded by armed guards and loyal supporters. I knew that Stalin's agents were everywhere, seeking an opportunity to silence me permanently.
On August 20th, 1940, Trotsky's premonitions were realized in the most brutal fashion. Ramon Mercader, a Spanish communist and agent of the Soviet secret police, gained access to Trotsky's study under the pretense of showing him an article he had written. As Trotsky leaned over to read the article, Mercader struck, burying an ice axe in his skull. Trotsky, mortally wounded, fought back against his attacker, but his fate was sealed.
I died the following day, my life cut short by an act of political assassination. My murder, a chilling reminder of the brutality of Stalin's regime, sent shockwaves through the world. My death marked the end of an era, the silencing of a voice that had challenged the powerful and inspired the oppressed.
I don't think people understand the full extent of Leon Trotsky's enduring legacy. Leon Trotsky's life was a whirlwind of revolution, exile, and ultimately, martyrdom. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a brilliant intellectual, a ruthless revolutionary, a gifted writer, and a victim of political assassination.
My legacy remains a subject of intense debate, my ideas continuing to inspire both admiration and condemnation. My contributions to the Bolshevik Revolution are undeniable. I was instrumental in the October Revolution, played a key role in building the Red Army, and helped shape the early years of the Soviet state.
Trotsky's critique of Stalinism, though initially ignored or dismissed as the rantings of a bitter exile, proved to be remarkably prescient. He warned of the dangers of Stalin's dictatorship, the cult of personality that surrounded him, and the brutal repression that characterized his rule. His writings, smuggled into the Soviet Union and circulated clandestinely, provided a source of inspiration for dissidents and reformers who yearned for a more democratic and humane form of socialism.
Trotsky's ideas continue to resonate today, long after his death.
Whether one agrees with his methods or his conclusions, there is no denying that Leon Trotsky left an indelible mark on the 20th century and beyond.